Hello, and welcome to day 16 of Business English 2. In your last class, you had a quiz over the first part of the semester. So today we're going to continue with where we were before the quiz. We had been talking about subject and verb agreement, and one of the expressions that we talked about was, "They took us to the cleaners." Do you remember what that refers to? What that means? To take someone to the cleaners means to swindle them. It's a form of fraud or deception. So if we look at the definition here, to swindle means to cheat a person or a business, etc. Remember, etc. means and so on. So to cheat somebody, and again, that could be an individual, it could be another business, it could be a government, that you cheat or swindle them in some way. So to cheat somebody out of money or other assets. If you obtain those assets, it's to obtain them to get money or property from somebody by fraud or deceit. So it's a form of cheating, almost theft, but basically in a swindle, the person may give you the property or the money because you have lied to them, you have deceived them. So you're not just stealing it, but you're deceiving them in the process of stealing it. And we looked at some examples. We looked at some accident scams where people try to commit some sort of insurance fraud to get money from drivers because they claim or they pretend to be injured in an accident. We even looked at this little cat here trying to pretend to be injured in front of the bicycle here. And you had a video to watch, which I showed you, but we didn't have time to discuss it last week, about an internet scam, or a type of, we might even call it phishing, like an email phishing scam. And that would be with a phishing, internet phishing or phone phishing, not fishing where you try to catch a fish in a lake or a river or the ocean. Okay, exact same pronunciation, phishing, but because this is done online, by email, or maybe even by text message or phone call, the spelling is different. So phishing would be a type of scam to try, again, to get somebody's money, property, assets, to get them to invest in something that doesn't exist so that you have their money and then you disappear, or the investment never takes place. And so it's a form of fraud and deception. So I want to play this video for you today, and let me go to a little bigger screen here for it, and let's play it today and talk about it in more detail, because this video actually has a whole bunch of really good vocabulary and expressions related to things that you may see in banking, finance, business, and just everyday life. And notice the title here, they call it toaster, because that's obviously the item that that is discussed a lot here, and scam-a-lot. Scam, like a fraud, deception. Scam and spam sound very similar. And that's sort of a little play on the word Camelot, if you're familiar with King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. They lived in Camelot. That was the kingdom, the name of the kingdom. So instead of Camelot, this is Scam-a-lot, because it's a scam and it's a lot. a lot of scams. Scam-a-lot. A little play on the word Camelot. So again, James Veitch will introduce himself here, and he does talk quickly, which is good listening practice and exercise for you, but it does make it perhaps a little difficult to understand everything he says. So you can see here in my PowerPoint or my Word file, I've already got a bunch of things written in for today, and hopefully this will help you to kind of follow along. So let's begin.
I'm James Veitch. I get a ton of scam emails, but instead of deleting them, I decided to hit reply.
He says I get a ton of these emails. A ton in weight is, if we weighed a ton, where's my equal sign? That is actually 2,000 pounds. Okay, the weight measurement. But also a ton of something just means a lot, a large quantity, a large amount. You might say, I have a ton of homework to do. I have a ton of work to do. That means just a lot.
I'm James Veitch. I get a ton of scam emails, but instead of deleting them, I decided to hit reply.
So instead of deleting them, I decide to hit reply. He answers them.
I got an email about some diamonds. Here's what happened.
I got an email about some diamonds. Here's what happened. So he's going to tell us the story.
I got your contact from a South African health officer in Ghana.
So he tells us the story here.
Of scam emails, but instead of deleting them, I decided to hit reply. I got an email about some diamonds. Here's what happened. I got your contact from a South African health officer.
So I got your contact. And here what he actually means is I got your contact information. I got your name, your email address from a South African health officer in Ghana.
In Ghana. I find that unlikely.
I find that unlikely. I find that, I believe that to be, or if I find it to be unlikely, it means I don't believe it. I don't trust that information. I find that unlikely. If you find something, that's sort of a way of saying, if you say, I find that unlikely, I find that I don't believe it. We might say, I find that amusing, means it's funny. I find that impossible, means I don't think it can happen. So to use this phrase, I find that, means after thinking about something, after considering it, after evaluating it, this is my, the result. This is my belief. So he says, I find that unlikely.
But instead of deleting them, I decided to hit reply. I got an email about some diamonds. Here's what happened. I got your contact from a South African health officer in Ghana. I find that unlikely. I need to move 1,000 carats of polished diamond.
I need to move. I need to transport. I need to do something with 1,000 carats of polished diamond. Now what is a carat here? Well, notice the spelling here, C-A-R-A-T-S. A carat is a measurement of the size of diamonds. It's how diamonds are measured. So 1 carat, 2 carats, 3 carats, 4 carats. This is just an illustration showing how big those diamonds would look on a woman's hand or a man's hand. Okay, just for comparison, if you watched Titanic, you may remember the Heart of the Ocean necklace that was in Titanic. That is the necklace that Rose's fiance gave to her. Cal here was his name. That's the necklace that he gave to her in the movie. Now that necklace in the movie is not real. It's not an actual diamond. It's not a historical diamond, but it was based on the Hope diamond, which is 54.52 carats. Guess I should have an S there. 45 carats. Now think of this. If you look at this on a person's hand, sorry, the links keep coming up on the screen there for some reason. This is what a 4-carat diamond would look like on somebody's hand. Imagine 10 times that, 45 carats. That would just be huge. That's why it's a necklace instead of a ring. And this is the Hope diamond, and it is valued at $350 million. So very, very valuable.
Equally.
So, also, some homonyms here. Again, we have carat, the measure of a diamond's size. That is pronounced exactly like carrots, the vegetable that you are familiar with. Carrots and carrots are pronounced exactly the same.
Unlikely. Note, this transaction is 100% risk-free and does not attract any danger.
So this transaction, note means pay attention. This transaction is 100% risk-free and does not attract any danger.
I need to move 1,000 carats of polished diamond. Equally unlikely.
Equally unlikely means I don't believe that either.
Note, this transaction is 100% risk-free.
This transaction is 100% risk-free. It's completely safe.
And does not attract any danger.
And does not attract any danger.
I knew I was in safe hands.
He says, so I knew I was in safe hands.
Polished diamond. Equally unlikely. Note, this transaction is 100% risk-free and does not attract any danger.
Now, why does he say that I knew I was in safe hands? Notice the corrections he makes to the letter here.
So I knew I was in safe hands.
Dose not. Remember, dose is a word that we use for medicine. You take a dose of medicine, maybe 1 tablet or a teaspoon of a cough syrup or something. That's a dose. That's like 1 portion of a medication. Obviously, that should be not dose, but does. And does not, this transaction does not attract. That is incorrect. That is the correct verb form. So again, we have a subject-verb agreement problem here. So actually, we should say, and does not attract. I spelled that wrong. Any danger. And does not attract any danger. It's completely safe. Now, this is a really good way to spot scams and phishing attempts, because they will almost always have some sort of grammar or spelling errors in them. That's a very good way to detect them. Some people believe that scammers do this on purpose. They do it intentionally, because the idea is that if you see these mistakes, if you recognize them, you are smart, you're educated, and so you are less likely to fall for the scam, to be deceived. So you'll just delete it, or report it, or just ignore it. But people who are less educated are more likely, perhaps, to fall for the scam, to be taken in, to be deceived. Okay? Now, the reason why this is so important is because if you are working for a bank or a company or even your own business, if you send people emails and messages that contain spelling and grammar errors, they will, one, either think you're not educated, or they may think that you are a scammer, that you are a fraud, that you are trying to deceive them or cheat them in some way. So if they believe that, if they don't trust you, then of course they're not going to give you their business. And that's obviously a very bad thing. Let's continue.
Whose hands am I in? Lieutenant.
Whose hands am I in? Who is going to do this? Lieutenant Commander Kuroma. Now, LT period, either written in all capital letters here, or you might see it LT period, or even something like LIEUT period. That stands for lieutenant. Lieutenant. That's a military rank. It's basically like the lowest officer rank. Now there are, of course, like private and corporal, sergeant. Those are not officer ranks. But officer ranks, the lowest officer rank in the U.S. and I believe in Korea too would be a second lieutenant, then first lieutenant, and then captain. Okay, so this is a low rank of military officer. Now, the pronunciation here in the U.S. and American English would say lieutenant. British pronunciation, some people in the UK would pronounce that lieutenant. Left, like right and left. Lieutenant. Okay? It's an older pronunciation, or comes from the French, original French word, where we got the English word. And so in the UK that pronunciation still exists, but in the US it's just lieutenant, American English. So this is the person he's talking to, Lieutenant or Lieutenant Commander Kuroma.
Commander Kuroma.
Thinking about it.
I'm in.
I'm in. I'm going to do it. I'm in. I accept your invitation. I accept your offer. I'm in. Let's do this.
Send me your phone number.
Send me your phone number.
I gave him the phone number of Goldman Sachs, the bank.
So he says, I gave him the number of Goldman Sachs, the bank. So was this James Veitch's real number? Of course not. But he gave him an actual phone number of the bank.
He said, James Veitch, I'm not sure you are real at all. You gave me phone numbers of a bank which I called, and they say that you are not real.
So, now Lieutenant Kuroma writes back to James Veitch and says, James Veitch, I'm not sure you are real at all. I don't know if I can trust you. You gave me
phone numbers of a bank which I called.
You gave me phone numbers of a bank which I called.
And they say that you are not real.
And they say that you are not real. So the bank, Goldman Sachs, that's whose number he gave, is telling Lieutenant Kuroma that James Veitch is not real, or don't trust him.
But they don't know you. They even advised me to be very careful about you.
So Goldman Sachs told Lieutenant Kuroma, they advised him. Sorry, I've got a little pop-up alert on my screen here. They advised me to be careful about you. So the bank is warning Commander Kuroma that, look, somebody gave you our phone number. We don't know him. He doesn't work here. Be careful. This might be a scam.
Who are you?
Who are you?
I'm an army intelligence.
I'm an army intelligent. That doesn't make any sense. You cannot be an intelligent. Intelligent is an adjective. So what he is probably trying to say is he is an Army intelligence officer. Okay, notice the military rank, lieutenant. I'm an Army intelligence officer. You cannot say you're an intelligent. That just doesn't make any sense.
Is that a thing? I said there was never a shred of doubt in my mind that I was dealing with an intelligent.
So there was never a shred of doubt in my mind that I was dealing with an intelligent. So what's a shred? Talks about a shred of doubt. A shred is like a small piece of something. We use paper shredders if you have some documents you want to get rid of to protect your privacy or something. You might run them through a paper shredder. It tears them up into small, thin strips. So a shred is like a small, torn piece of something. So a shred of doubt would be just a little bit. There was never a shred of doubt. There was never any doubt in my mind that I was dealing with an intelligent. Now, obviously here, that's not true. He knows he's dealing with a scammer. So, he here is actually being very sarcastic. Sarcasm, the noun sarcasm, means basically you say one thing, but you mean something else. So he's being sarcastic. He says, oh, I never doubted that I was dealing with an army or with an intelligent. Oh, I believe that you're very, very smart. Of course, he doesn't believe that. So he's being very sarcastic here. While we're talking about shred here, the most common place you might see it, or another very common place you'll see it, is with cheese. We shred cheese. You run it through this little device, and it tears it or cuts it, slices it into very thin strips. Like if you're going to put cheese on a pizza, you would use shredded cheese, or on a salad or something. You don't want a big chunk of cheese. You'd use shredded cheese. So another place you'll see this and is with cheese. This, I don't know why those keep, sorry, I don't know why these long links keep popping up here. They weren't doing that earlier. The little tool here that you use to shred the cheese is a cheese grater. Grater. So you would grate the cheese. The grater is the little device here, the tool that you use to grate the cheese, and the verb is grate. So some people made a little joke about this. Remember, you may remember, when Donald Trump ran for president in 2016, his campaign slogan was "Make America Great Again." You'll often see those initials, MAGA, MAGA. Make America Great Again. So some people made a joke about that. It says, "Make America Great Again." Same pronunciation, another homonym. Make America Great Again. And so here they took it a little farther. Ban pre-shredded cheese. So in the grocery store, you can buy cheese that is already shredded or grated for pizza or salads or something. Ban pre-shredded cheese. Make America Great Again. Make people grate their own cheese. So people had a little fun with that.
How can I prove to you that I am real? How can you prove that you are real in truth? How can any of us prove that we are real?
So he's asking sort of philosophical questions. How can any of us prove that we are real?
P.S. What are you sending me? I've forgotten.
P.S. What are you sending me? I've forgotten. P.S. You'll often see at the bottom of a letter, like after the signature line, at the very bottom. P.S. means post-script. Script is something that's written. Post is after. So a postscript is something that you write after the main letter. P.S. Okay? And you'll often see that in personal letters, even business letters, sometimes emails. It's usually something that you think of after you have actually written the letter, or written the main part of the letter.
He said the contents of the consignment is 1,000 carats of rough diamonds worth $7.5 million.
Okay, so the contents of the consignment, remember we talked about or looked at consignment is just a shipment in this case, okay? The contents of the consignment, the shipment is 1,000 carats. That's a lot of rough diamonds. Now here, earlier in the video, it said polished diamonds. Here in this email, it says rough diamonds worth $7.5 million. So rough diamonds, those would be uncut diamonds. They'd be unpolished, just like they came out of the mine. They're not ready to be put into a necklace or a ring or something, but worth $7.5 million. So that's pretty valuable.
I said, can I have a picture of the consignment?
Can I have a picture of the consignment? Can I see the diamonds?
Well, yes, I can.
Well, of course you can.
Boom!
And here's what they sent him. Was just a picture of a box, a chest. It looks kind of like a treasure chest, like you might see pirates have or something. Reminds me of something from Pirates of the Caribbean, if you saw that movie with Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean. And pirates were basically thieves, robbers. They would steal. One of the things, or when they stole something, when they took it from other people or other pirates or from a merchant ship or something, the money, the goods that they stole are referred to as loot. Okay. Are you familiar with the word loot? For example, in a treasure chest, this would be the loot, would be the valuables, the gold, the diamonds, the jewelry, the coins. That would be their loot. You'll hear this word or see another form of this in the term looters. Looters are people. And you'll see scenes like this. Sometimes after a natural disaster, a flood, a hurricane, an earthquake, where maybe electricity is off, where people have evacuated, so nobody's there. Maybe doors and windows are broken, so it's very easy to go into a store or a home. Looters are people that go into a business or a home. They take advantage of that situation, and they go in and steal. They go into a store and take shoes, clothing, televisions, electronics, valuable items, and steal them, because the business owners maybe aren't even there, because there's a natural disaster, there's a power outage, some dangerous situation happening. So they go and they steal. And so you'll see sometimes, like during a riot or after a natural disaster, store owners will try to protect their property. And you might see a sign like this: looters will be shot. If you try to steal from us, if you try to take what is not yours during this emergency, during this crisis, during this natural disaster, we will shoot you. We will protect our property. Now, a funny story. This is a story that just came up on Facebook today. Somebody had posted in a Facebook group that I belong to that they had actually talked to their students about bank robbery. It came up in their textbook in one of the lessons. And these were middle school students. But the idea of bank robbery came up, and the students were unfamiliar with that. Because it doesn't happen often in Korea. But this person was telling a story and talking about how their friend, or the person they knew, I believe they lived in New Zealand. This person robbed a bank and said that they got the loot and then tried to run away. It was a funny story because the guy slid on the hood of a car, the front part of a car, and it was wet. It had been raining. So he slid on the hood of a car, fell, hit his head, and became unconscious. So obviously they caught him. So it was kind of a funny story. But when he wrote about this, he said that they got the loot. After they got their loot, we have a homonym here. He didn't say loot, L-O-O-T, like you would find in a pirate's chest, but the lute, L-U-T-E, which a lute is actually a musical instrument from medieval times. So I sent him this picture. It's spelled loot if you're talking about money or winnings from a war or theft or like a pirate. Lute, L-U-T-E, is a musical instrument. So it's another example of homonyms, words that are pronounced exactly the same. One with more of a financial or material meaning, the other one musical. Okay, let's continue.
He said, send me your ID, passport, driver's license, or any of your valid ID.
So send me your ID, your, in the U.S. we might say your social security card, or in Korea you have a national ID card, your passport, your driver's license, or any of your valid ID. Valid means that it's not expired. It's real, it's authentic, it's official. And so send me your ID.
So, it was valid at the time.
So this is what he sent him, his Blockbuster membership card. And he says, well, it was valid at the time. Have you heard of Blockbuster? Blockbuster was a video rental store. Huge chain across the U.S. I don't know if they were global or not, or in other countries. But in the U.S. it was a huge chain. And it was a video rental store. They had the old VHS tapes. I don't know if any of you remember those. They did eventually have DVDs when those became more popular. And they also had video games, like for PlayStation and things like that. Of course, with streaming services like Netflix, the demand for DVDs, or obviously VHS tapes, went a long time ago. But the demand for DVDs decreased, and now, and so Blockbuster closed all of their stores, except one. They've kept one store open, sort of a nostalgic, sort of historic, almost a historical thing, where, and I forget where it is, but they have one store that still remains. But it was for you to take movies home with you, and so they would also sell snacks, candy bars, like you would buy at the movies. In the U.S., a lot of the movie food is, of course, popcorn, but also like large size boxes of candy, like bite-sized candy bars, but in like a big size package. So they would sell a lot of like movie candy, so that when you were at home watching your movie, you might feel more like you're at the theater.
He said, you will need to set up an account with our bank and pay the fee. I said,
so he said, you'll need to set up an account with our bank and send me the fee.
It was valid at the time. He said, you will need to set up an account with our bank and pay the...
You'll need to set up an account with our bank and pay the fee. So anytime somebody asks you, oh, before you can receive this, you need to pay us a fee, you need to send us a shipping fee, you need to pay some amount for this, that's a very good sign that it's a scam.
Fee. I said, I'll set up a new account with your bank. There's an offer of a free toaster on the moment.
So I'll set up an account, but there's an offer of a free toaster. A free toaster, like you would use to make toast. Of course, this is not true. But none of this is true. There is no consignment. There are no diamonds. There's also no toaster. But James Veitch is just playing with them. He's just having fun with them.
And I've got my heart set on it.
I've got my heart set on it. I'm counting on it. I'm depending on it. It's like, oh, yes, I'll get a free toaster. That's great.
He said, don't worry about getting a toaster.
Don't worry about getting a toaster. James Veitch says, I'll be the judge of that. That's my decision. I'll be the judge of it. I will decide. I will judge. I will decide if that's important or not.
I thought I'll be the judge of that. And then he told me to contact this bank.
So he told him to contact this bank, masquerading as the Royal Bank of Scotland. Masquerading means pretending to be, like disguising itself. You'll see in movies sometimes, like a masquerade ball. A ball is a dance. If you ever watched Man in the Iron Mask with Leonardo DiCaprio, a masquerade ball, everyone wears a mask over their face to hide their identity, like a costume.
Masquerading as the Royal Bank of Scotland.
Masquerading, pretending to be the Royal Bank of Scotland. Royal Bank of Scotland.
But what I love is their email address.
What I love is their email address.
It's info@royalbs, which I think is perfect.
So why does he think that's perfect? Royal BS.
Was info@royalbs.
Okay, what's so important? What's so special about the BS here? Well, BS, or B.S. is short for bull shit. Okay? So, bull, obviously, is a male cow. Okay? This is the famous Bull of Wall Street. You may have seen. This is a real bull. That's actually pretty similar. And bulls often have these big horns on them. The shit, that's sort of that's not a good word. In Korean, you'd probably say dung. Okay. In the U.S., we use dung for animal waste. When an animal goes to the bathroom, that would be the solid waste, would be dung. For people, we don't use that. A more informal, friendly, more acceptable term, I guess, would be poop, or even poo. Like if you're walking down the sidewalk and you step in something that a bird has dropped. You might say, oh, I stepped in some bird poop. Or in the park, if somebody's dog has pooped somewhere. So poop and poo, those are words that children can use. They're not bad words at all. But this, or dung, poop, poo, that's this. So, or you may see the more friendly emoji. Now, if you think that something is not true, or it's a lie, or even it's not right, we'd say, I call bullshit. If something is bullshit, it's not fair, it's not right, or it's just wrong. If someone's lying to you, that's BS. And often we'll say BS. Okay, like this, royal BS. That's why this is funny. Oh man, that's BS. I don't believe you. You're lying. That's not true. Okay? And you'll even see things like a meter here to measure like a story. Like, okay, it's, slightly not true, medium, or this is total BS. And often we'll use that term. It's total BS. That's complete and total BS. It means it's absolute garbage. I do not believe it. Okay?
Yes, which I think is perfect. And then he said, don't delay. I don't have much days here on Earth.
Don't delay. I don't have much days here on Earth. This is kind of awkward. We say I don't have many days here on Earth. But even that, it's like, wait, you don't have days on Earth? Where are you going?
I said, when are you leaving Earth?
So he asks, when are you leaving Earth? Where are you going?
He said, I have not seen anybody that is more unserious as you are.
I have not seen anyone that is more unserious. That's very awkward, more unserious. I would say less serious. I've never seen anybody that's less serious. This is very awkward English. And again, awkward expressions and phrases will tell people that this is a scam, that this is not real, that they can't trust you.
Even if I die soon, do you have to mock me?
Even if I die soon, if I'm leaving Earth, even if I die, do you have to mock me? Do you have to make fun of me? Okay? To mock somebody, to make fun of them?
With it! Just get the funds to the bank.
Just get the funds to the bank. So you can tell here the way he says that, that Lieutenant Commander Kuroma is getting sort of impatient and irritated. Just get the funds to the bank. Just send the money.
Do you have to mock me with it? Just get the funds to the bank. I said, look, I had no idea we were talking about your death.
So I had no idea. I didn't know we were talking about your death.
He said, what are you thinking I was talking about? Am I going to mass?
So what did you think we were talking about? If I said I'm leaving Earth, where did you think we were going? Did you think I was talking about going to mass? What's mass? Well, mass you use in science, in life. We talk about mass and weight. Mass is the amount of matter in an object, or weight, that's like the Earth's gravitational pull, how we measure that. Or on the moon would be less than the weight on Earth, but the mass would stay the same. That's the amount of material, the matter in an object. Also in church, some churches, especially Catholic churches, their church services are called Mass. So like Sunday Mass. Also Mass just means like a large amount. A mass of people would be a large crowd. Right now with the virus, the government says avoid mass gatherings. Avoid large crowds. Okay?
I said, where's mass? Is that where the toaster is?
So he's joking here again. It's like, oh, where's mass? Is that where the toaster is?
He said, sorry, I mean Mars. One
Sorry, I mean Mars.
of the 9 planets of the solar system.
I mean Mars, one of the 9 planets of the solar system. So you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 planets of the solar system.
Are we counting Pluto then?
So he says, are we counting Pluto then? Okay, they've got that written here. Are we counting Pluto? Because if you look at modern diagrams of the solar system, you'll see there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's an old one, counting Pluto out here. But newer ones, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because scientists decided that Pluto was not a planet, that it's too small. And I think that's now maybe some are saying that it is a planet, so it's debatable. So James is asking, wait, 9 planets? So we're counting Pluto? It is a planet again?
So I sent an email to Royal Bank of Scotland.
So he sent an email to this fake Royal Bank of Scotland.
I said, look, I'm writing to you about some bling left.
I'm writing to you about some bling that Lieutenant was telling me about. Bling is just like jewelry, something shiny, something sparkly. Like these shoes, these sneakers have bling on them. Some glitter and sparkly, shiny things. The bling, in this case, is diamonds. The bling, the diamonds.
Lieutenant Commander is leaving me, and a free toaster you're giving me for opening the account.
So remember, this is the fake Royal Bank of Scotland. I'm writing to you about the bling, about the diamonds, and a free toaster you're giving me for opening the account.
And they got back to me, they said, please send us a filled-in account opening form.
So they write back and say, send in the account.
And there is no free toaster. Rush.
And there is no free toaster. Head of Costumer Care. Notice Costumer Care. A costume, that's like a Superman costume. An outfit, again, to disguise yourself. You might wear at a party, or especially at Halloween. Instead of costumer, actually, of course, the word they want is customer. So they've reversed the O and the U. Not costume or costumer, but customer, and I've seen this mistake appear several times.
Ramesh, head of customer care.
So notice that James Veach also...
Form, and there is no free toaster. Raj Ramesh, head of customer care.
Notice he also points out that the O and the U are in the correct position.
I said, dear customer care.
So James makes a little joke here, dear costumer care.
Raj Ramesh, head of customer care. I said, dear customer.
Dear costumer care. Notice his little word here has a little mustache, a little costume.
Care. Are you sure? Because I heard I was getting a free gift for opening the account.
Are you sure? I heard I was getting a free gift. And notice here, he is in costume.
What sort of costumes do you do?
What sort of costumes do you do? So again, he's playing on or emphasizing their misuse, their misspelling of the word.
He said there is no bonanza going on.
There's no bonanza going on. Of course, a bonanza, like one of you mentioned in your definitions from last week, is a situation or an event that creates a sudden increase in wealth, good fortune, or profits. So a bonanza is something very good.
I thought that was an odd choice of word. And then he said, and even if there was, conditions would apply.
And even if there was, there would be conditions. You would have to meet specific conditions. Okay? And you'll see that that's normal for banking stuff. Conditions apply. So he sent them this.
This is what I sent them. Was conditions would apply. This is what I sent them.
So he sent them this. Free toaster with any new account. Toaster bonanza. And he used the logo here, RBS, Royal Bank of Scotland. No conditions apply. In another video where James Veach talks about this, he talks about he just made this in like a photo editing or a Photoshop kind of thing. Of course, because this is all fake. The offer of the consignment of diamonds is fake, and James Veach's ad here is also fake, because he's playing with them. He's wasting their time.
So then how do you explain this? Free toaster. With any new account, Toaster Bonanza! No conditions apply. Thought, get out of that.
Get out of that. Ha! I got you. Get out of that. Try to escape.
They said that do not include Royal Bank of Scotland.
That do not include Royal Bank of Scotland Group Worldwide. Do not? That do not? Again, incorrect verb form there. That should be that does not include. Okay? So again, another grammatical error, another clue that this person is not a signal that they are not educated.
Worldwide. I said, what are my options? I could do with a new kettle.
Okay, so no toaster. What are my options? What are my choices? I could do with a new kettle, a pot to heat water.
He said, we would appreciate it if you do not bring up this gift thing again, because
we would appreciate it. We will appreciate it if you do not bring up this gift thing again. Don't talk about this.
because you won't get any.
Because you won't get any. You're not going to get a gift.
Just to be clear, are you saying that if I bring it up again, I won't get it, and if I don't bring it up again, I will?
So James Veach, again, plays with him. He's like, wait, to be clear, to clarify, are you saying that if I bring it up again, I won't get any gift, but if I don't bring it up, then I will get a gift?
Or are you just saying I won't get it at all? He
Or are you saying I won't get it at all, that there is no gift?
said, please stop talking of a free toaster.
So now they're like, please stop talking about the toaster.
And I thought, that sounds like a broken man.
That sounds like a broken man. Somebody who is defeated. They're frustrated. They're ready to give up.
Right? I said, of course, I shan't bring it up again.
Of course, I shan't bring it up again. Shan't is Old English. We don't use it in the U.S. unless we're trying to sound... we use it in a comedy, funny way in the U.S. if we're trying to sound old-fashioned or British or something. I shan't. Okay? Shan't is a contraction for shall not. Basically means won't, will not. I shan't, I won't bring it up again.
You have my word.
You have my word, I promise.
He said, look, what we want from you is to do the right things. I said, I've done some research. I think we should go for the DeLonghi 4-slicer.
So I've done some research. I think we should go with the DeLonghi 4-slicer in red. DeLonghi is the brand. Okay, they make home appliances. 4-slicer, 4 slices of toast, 4 pieces of toast. In red, the red colored one.
Red. He said, please stop emailing us.
So then they write back, please stop emailing us. So now they are frustrated. They have given up. James Veitch has won. So basically what he's doing here is just wasting their time. And that's the purpose of it, is to waste their time to frustrate the scammers so that they are not scamming other people.
If you enjoyed that, I've got loads more. I spent the past 3 years replying to as many scam emails as I can. On your behalf, more episodes are here, and just subscribe. And why not just subscribe? How hard is it? It's not hard. Just subscribe.
So, like he says here, he does have a lot of other videos. Some at TED Talks, some on like talk shows, where he does it, in front of the audience. I would recommend, if you want something interesting to do, something entertaining, he's got some really, really great videos. Not all about scams like this, but a lot of them are. Okay. All right, so that is James Veitch. There's a whole bunch of vocabulary in there. And the next thing we're going to look at, let me introduce very briefly today, is capital letters. Okay, so what are capital letters? What are capital letters? How would you answer that question? Some of you might say, oh, those are big letters, right? Those are the big letters. So this is a big A. Is that a capital letter? No, of course not. That's not a capital A. It is large, but it's not a capital letter. So obviously, when we are talking about capital letters, this is a capital A here, and this is not a capital A. Capital A, how do we say that? Okay, there are some different ways we can say this, okay, for capital letters and not capital. Obviously, we can say capitalized and not capitalized, which is a little awkward. Large letter, small letter. Big letter, little letter. Uppercase, lowercase. Uppercase, lowercase. So sometimes these are written with the hyphen, sometimes they're not. Both are correct. So uppercase, lowercase, capitalized, not capitalized, large letters, big letters, small letters, little letters. So you could say big A, little a. That's very common. A lot of times we will say that. Or an uppercase A, lowercase a is sort of more professional sounding, more official sounding. Okay? Now, why are they called uppercase and lowercase? Well, back in the past, before we had computers and word processors, when they would print things like books or newspapers, they had to put each letter individually onto like a board or a frame. And so each letter would be individually placed, word by word, and actually had to be backwards in reverse, because when they printed it, it was like I guess like a mirror image. And so they had boxes where they kept all of these little letters, all the little metal pieces. Most of them were metal, some were wood. And they would keep the capital letters and the not capital letters in different boxes or different cases. So they kept the capital letters in the top case and the not capital letters in the bottom case, or the upper and lower cases. Upper case letters, lower case letters. Very simple, but that's where it comes from. On a typewriter, old-fashioned typewriter like this, you see the keys here where you would press. On the little, kind of like the little arms here, when you press a key here, the little arm here kind of flips up and hits the ribbon here that goes across. The ribbon is coated with ink, and so it hits the ribbon, and then the ribbon hits the paper and leaves the ink on the paper. And this ribbon, you can see, kind of see here, it's a round spool. It spins, it goes across. Each time you type a letter, the ribbon moves just a tiny bit. And you can see here on the little arms, the uppercase and lowercase. So here's the H, the uppercase, lowercase h. Or the U, uppercase, lowercase. The R, uppercase and lowercase. And you can see here that these, so each one has the upper and lowercase letters on it. So, I know that you know what capitalization is. You know what capital letters are. The question is, do you know how and when to use them? And I'm sure that all of you know some of the basics. But I've also realized that a lot of students have never been taught exactly when to use them, or what the rules are for using them. You know some of the rules, but you maybe don't know all of the rules. So I've got a worksheet for you I would like you to do, some practice here. And this says to underline the letters that need to be capitalized in these sentences. And for underlining, or to indicate that a letter should be capital, normally we'll make 3 lines underneath it. Okay, that's what you'll see here is underline. It shows 3 little lines. You'd put that under each letter that needs to be underlined. You don't need to circle it or circle the whole word. Just underline each letter that should be capitalized. So do the worksheet, see how well you do on it, and we will go through the rules on our class next week, and we'll see how you did. Okay, guys, have a good afternoon, and I'll see you next Monday.